Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. It's a very special show for all of you today. You have heard she and I do shows together before, but you've not heard a show like this. And I'm talking about Jessica Suzanne, who's joining me here today. This show is the title of this is called My Journey to Alcohol-Free Living and the Key to Bliss. And the reason that this is so exciting is because once upon a time, Jess, once upon a time, it was really not cool to talk about your journey addiction. And of course, for me, I'm coming up on 35 years next year.
Wow.
And yeah, but we were never allowed to talk about it. And I say, who's the addiction police? We're like out there, don't talk about, and I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, it did feel like that. And it almost felt like, if you weren't in the drinking crowd, then you weren't in the cool crowd. And, for me, that was what started it all, was using it as a way to connect. I felt that it was how the best way for me to belong, to fit in. So that's where it all started for me. I don't know about you.
Well, let's start with you because I want to fast forward to where we are today. I want to take a look at you today. I want to take a sneak peek at this amazing woman. And the reason I want to do this is because you're looking at somebody, audience, you're looking at somebody who has created an incredible movement, Kissed by Bliss. We're going to talk about upcoming workshop, upcoming event. You're watching somebody that I've gotten to watch along the way and take the journey with, reinvent oneself, be standing tall and proud in what she believes in, and then take the message out. So today, fasten your seatbelt because you're going to hear about the event. You're going to hear much more about it as the weeks go on. But I want to hit you up here with talking about this journey to alcohol-free living. That's what you're going to share today. Let me ask you this question. I want to know how that happened. Like everybody you talk to, they're like, I just woke up one day, or no, I found myself in a gutter, or no, whatever that is.
Yeah.
But what was it where you said, no mas?
Oh,
no
gosh.
mas?
Well, it wasn't for me just a wake up moment. It had been something that I struggled with for most of my life, ever since I started drinking at the age of 15. And, gosh, it takes me all the way back. And so I had to, sorry, this is my first time. I'm just going to be honest. This is the first time I've ever shared this journey live. Yep. And I've ever been public with it. So, it just, it takes me back a little bit to the moment. But yeah, so.
And thank you for sharing it.
Yeah.
Thank you for your courage, because I'm not kidding. When I started the show out and the backlash that I got, and people like me, where we said, we're going to talk about addiction. We're even going to have an addiction channel. We can't live in the shadows of shame and guilt.
Right.
So thank you. So take a breath. Yeah. I promise to be gentle with you.
Yeah, no. I feel safe here. So for me, I had always been a journaler. I always wrote and wrote how I was feeling. And I started to realize when I looked back through my journal entries that every single journal entry for the past 10 years were all about how I couldn't get past this drinking, how, oh my gosh, I woke up, I did it again. I told myself I wasn't going to do it. And here I am waking up ashamed, feeling guilty, not quite remembering the night before so many times. And I remember when I went to went on a girls trip to Arizona, and this trip was really where everything shifted for me, because we were there for a group workout. We were there to see Jillian Michaels, right? The big Jillian Michaels, and I was so excited. But when we got there, we headed straight to the pool, started drinking, no food, no nap, went out that night, woke up the next morning, and there I was, right? In this guilt-ridden reality that I promised myself I wasn't going to do. And I felt so terribly that the only thing I knew how to do to feel better was drink some more.
Yeah.
And so I show up to the event. I'm in line to see Jillian Michaels, and I'm terrified that she's going to smell alcohol on me. And I could barely even do the workout that we had come for. And I remember that plane ride home. I felt so ashamed. I felt so disgusted with myself. And I sat there writing in my journal, and I just said, what are you doing with your life? Like, is this who you want to be? Is this how you want to show up in the world? You know, smelling like yesterday's bad choices and looking like yesterday's bad choices. And that moment really, really struck me. And I got home and I researched, and I found a 90-day alcohol-free living course. And I did that, and that changed my life, because even though it would be 3 more years until I quit for good, I set a new set point for myself. I allowed myself to see what life was like beyond alcohol, and I had never felt so good. I don't think I ever had felt what I was feeling in my entire life, because from my childhood, I grew up around drinking. I watched how my parents, used it for every situation that we were in. And by the time I hit 15, I was drinking. And so I had never felt what it felt like not to be in this atmosphere. And so that was the greatest gift that I could give myself, because then every time I drank after that, I would always go back to that. And I became envious of that version of me. And that just set a whole new vibrational set point. It helped me to not drink as much, because I just remembered how good I felt. And so that was the beginning of the sobriety. And then, as I said, it would be 3 years later that I decided to let go for good. And that was after a party weekend in Nashville, to be quite honest. It happened almost like the Arizona trip, right? You promise yourself you're not going to do it. I had made so much progress, by the way, in that time after I lost my mom, and that you've heard that transformation story. And so that, I came home from that trip, and I just said, no more. And I thank God for that. I thank my angels. I thank myself, really, because if you think about it, we feel ashamed of our past self and our past choices, but isn't it that past self that got us right here today? So I think that I just started really seeing my journey from more compassion and from a more loving perspective. And, when you're not so ashamed of yourself, then it changes everything, because you become your own best friend. And that is how I've stayed sober. It is learning who I truly am without alcohol, without that whole entire lifestyle. Because we're not just giving up the drink, right? We're giving up the happy hours, the bottomless mimosa, Sunday football, the camping weekends. We're giving up, all of that. And so it's like,
beer after softball. I know. It's
yeah.
So the bottom line is, how do you know? So let's talk about this, because I want to talk about how that led to who you are today. And I want to talk about finding freedom. those of us along the way, there have been people that have tried to help us. I remember when, I don't know what year it was, 1988. I don't know the year, but I was given a book called Power versus Force. And, I have people that give me these books and I would take them and I'd throw them in a closet, right?
Mhm.
Until one day I'm feeling so bad and ashamed that I decide I'm going to sit in my closet with my flashlight and read them. I mean, that's where we go.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
the more we talk about it, the easier it gets. And if you ever hear me do a speaker meeting, it's like a comedy show. But that's because we've moved beyond look, we've made our amends. We've done the things we need to do. So now it's time to create the new life. And that's why
Right.
you're here today. Your
Right.
journey has led you to this moment and spot on to your level of creativity and innovation. Because fast forward to where you are today, talk us about where you are, what you're creating, and talk about the Bliss Glow Freedom Method, because that's cool.
Yeah. So essentially, I have taken my journey and, I didn't just sit down and say, okay, I'm going to create a program. I I realized I used every single thing that I learned along the way because I knew that my most powerful gifts could be giving women this sort of freedom that they might not know how to find, that they might not even know that they need. And so I created the Glow Freedom Method, and it takes you through a very beautiful process, the same process that I went through, unknowingly, right? But
Right.
uh, and so glow, so we have G for growth. And the growth stage is really just becoming aware and asking yourself, taking a look at what are the emotions that are actually this emotional state that I'm in when I do want the drink. And it's just really just a state of awareness. You're not doing anything yet. You're not changing anything. You're just taking note. And then you step into liberation where you do dive deeper. You begin to unravel what is the root cause that is causing me to reach for the drink. And so often it is not what we think, because for me, I thought it was for connection. But really, when you go deeper down into it, right, it was this whole feeling of not feeling like I was enough, that I didn't belong, that I wasn't accepted, which all stemmed from childhood. And so after I figured that out, that really did change my whole perspective. As I said, you start looking at yourself with more compassion and love, and you start to see what could life look like without this, and then you go into O, which is oneness, and that is our deep, deep, deep connection with ourselves and with whatever you find yourself. Feeling called to something bigger, whether that's God, the universe, because that really is the one thing that allowed me to let go of alcohol for good, was using divine power instead of willpower. Because when you are connected to the divine, everything else becomes so much more peaceful, so much simpler, so much you just feel more supported. And then you have W, which is well-being, and that is all about raising your vibration through my 7 elements to bliss. And you raise your vibration so high, you create a life so electric, right, that wine time begins to be the last thing on your mind. And it starts naturally dissolving, which happened to me as I started raising my vibration. I just simply didn't want the wine anymore. I didn't want the crappy food. I didn't want the toxic relationships. I didn't want that, because I had a new vibrational set point, and that was really a huge factor in my sobriety and in staying sober. So
This is really the point that I want to talk to you about right here, because I like when we can have a real conversation about how we navigate the waters of our lives, right? And I love using the ocean as a perfect example. There are some days where you're at Waikiki and the water is so pure, so calm, so quiet, so beautiful. And then there are other days when you're on the North Shore and the waves are 15 million
oh my
feet,
gosh, yes,
right?
yes,
Um,
light.
But this new realization, and I love that we're talking about it, because you have to have something that literally anchors you in. And what you're
Yeah.
creating is a way to anchor people in, because the hardest part about a journey like the one you've described, and certainly the one both of us have been on, is our point of loneliness,
Mm.
right? And people look at us and say, why are you lonely? You know, Jess, you got everything, and come
Oh my
on
gosh.
now,
Uh-huh.
you feel it. No, we are, and it's real. But
Yes.
you've really not only moved beyond that, but you've created a way to help people elevate. You're also creating the Radiant Revival experience.
Yes. Yes.
Now,
I'm yes. Do you want me to go
I
into
need to talk about this, because anchoring with other people in a program is, and I'm not saying what, but anchoring with people in a program is the difference between getting sober and staying sober, or getting clean and staying clean.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
So
Yes.
talk about that. Talk about Radiant Revival. I know we're going to hear a lot more about it, but talk about the Radiant Revival experience. I love that.
Yeah. So the Radiant Revival is the first step within the Kissed by Bliss ecosystem. And essentially, it is a 28-day energy activation for courageous women who are looking to see what life is like on the other side of alcohol. And through the Glow Freedom Method, we'll go through 4 weeks, going through each stage step by step. And what we're going to do is restore your natural vitality, your life force. We're going to level up your natural radiance and really help you to align back into your true authentic self through the steps that I've described in a 28-day container, where we are going to be doing it with a group of women starting on 1/11, January 11, 25. And my whole theme around this is, where women come alive in 25. I just love the way that sounds, right? Come alive in
That's very
25.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be amazing, because this is really the kickoff of not only Kissed by Bliss, but it's the beginning of a new chapter for me as well. And
Yeah.
to be able to culminate everything into this beautiful container and into this program is such an honor. Giving up alcohol is my proudest accomplishment. And to be able to give women that sense of freedom as well, and to give back everything that I've learned on this journey, it's going to be magical. It's going to be amazing. So,
one of the things I want to ask you about, how do people find out more about this? Let's take a minute and have people connect with you. What is the best way for them to find out more about, the details of what we're talking about here today?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, www.kissedbybliss.com. That's KISSD, bybliss.com. And you can sign up there for the wait list, and you'll get $20 off when we launch. Actually, we launch next week. So get in there, get the $20 off. And like I said, we start with a group activation on 1/11, and it's going to be amazing. And I do want to touch on one thing and just say, I know
please.
women are probably asking, is this like a dry January? Am I cutting out alcohol for good? And no, we are not taking that approach. While that approach does work for some, we are going for soul level results. And so this is a very gradual process. But like I said, one that will change your life, because it's going to change your energetic set point. You're going to understand what life can be without alcohol holding you back. And you're going to be able to find other women who are on your same path to support you.
So I want to make a comment. You and I have been working together for a bunch now, but the way you have reinvented and rebranded, and it's an awkward term, but what you have done to demonstrate that you are living the benefits of an alcohol-free life. It's not just in you showing up here, Jess. What it is it's everything that you've done. And by the way, you and I are right on track for our 2025 theme. We're close to what our 2025 theme will be. But you see, you what you're doing is you're saying, I'm gonna meet you where you are. See, this is the key point. People always ask me about this, Jess. They say,
Yeah.
oh, you've gone to AA and da 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 da, and you've done this. I said, look, rule of thumb for any of those groups is not that you walk in the doors and you stop drinking. You just have to have a desire. And I think that what you're saying is, look, if this is a place you want to come to see what's possible, I love what you're doing, because here's what I want to ask you about. When I first went on this journey, all I talked about was my loss. Let me see if I can rephrase that. The loss, like the realization for me was when we went to Disneyland in Florida. We went to that Disney, and I get to Disney and I'm looking for a bar.
Right.
Disney
Oh my
doesn't-
gosh. I have been there. Oh, so many times.
But it's like, what do you mean you don't have a bar, right? Do you remember that? But here's what I want to say to everybody. Jessica, what you've been able to do is open up the door for possibilities for women. And I'm glad you're doing it, because I want to invite people to the party. And this is called a freedom party. It's the party that you just have set up so that women can show up, whether they're drinking or they're not drinking.
Yes.
Right? Why was that important to you?
Gosh, it was important to me because I have tried all of the ways. I have tried the 30 days quitting, and I did the 90 days, which, yes, it does work and it sets that new point, but it was so like willpower driven, and we're gonna power through this, and one more week and you can do it. And it's like, wait a sec, like how, but yeah, we're gonna do it, but then we're just gonna go back and start partying next weekend and forget that we ever did this. And I was like, that's not building a better life. That's making yourself feel even more guilty when you do drink, because then you're gonna like I did, you remember how good it felt, and then you're like, what am I doing? And so anyway, so I just wanted to build a place that women feel safe coming in, no matter where they are in their journey. And this isn't about whether you're doing something wrong or we're telling you to operate differently. This is an opportunity to look within your own heart and to what your heart might already be telling you, what you know deeper inside your life is calling you to, and an opportunity to follow that, and to do it with other women. I think is so invaluable, because we both know it's not it's not easy to do alone, and so
No.
yeah. So basically, I created what I thought I would need, back then, and
That's exactly right, though.
yes.
I mean, that's what we create an entire network on, not based on what the media says that you need for a network like us, but what do people want? But you see, what I love about this is there are many things we don't have time to talk about. But when you are so willing to bring something new in your life, and this is the way I talk about it now, I didn't lose anything. Getting clean and getting sober, I can now look back, and what happened was I accepted a new freedom.
Yes.
That's what you're creating.
Yeah. And you know what? It's like we have this in our mind. You hear all the time, we have to make sacrifices to get what we want. We have to sacrifice and sacrifice. But I had this thought that, yes, at first we are sacrificing, right? We're sacrificing the happy hours and the wine time and all of these things that we're used to. But is it really a sacrifice if what we're living on the other side is better than what we're sacrificing?
Yeah.
Like, so to me, this isn't a sacrifice. This is like a revival. It's coming back to life, because that's what it took me to literally be down and to come back up, like to come to life, to rebirth, basically, as a new version of myself. And we're always doing that, right? That it's not just you don't just wake up and then you're done. Like, you're constantly evolving. And this is going to be a space that and after this revival, you're going to have the opportunity to come into Kissed by Bliss and continue your journey on the Radiant Soul Path, so you can keep healing and keep up leveling. And if the time is right for you to let go of alcohol altogether, great. If we're here to meet you where you're at. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love it. And again, I want to make sure people know to go to Kissed, and I'm going to say KISSD, Kissed by Bliss.com. See, what you're doing is the underpinnings of what we all need. For the first several years, at least my experience is everything changes. I see life. I'm telling you, what happens transformationally to somebody like me who went through a highly successful career, and I got through that because I drank, so I didn't feel guilty about that career and what I had to do to get it. But
Yes.
once you stop, you're
Yeah.
like, holy cow, what? I'm working where for you people, and you're
Yes.
treating people like, right? But if you try to manage that alone, it is difficult. And that's why what you're doing gives a safe space for people to come and say, you know what, Jess, man, this week that I went through, I see things differently.
Exactly.
I don't know what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like my boss.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's that, and I think, and that's exactly what happens when you start waking up. You don't just wake up yourself, you start waking up to all the other things that you're like, whoa, where am I? But you feel when you're alone, right? You just feel it's too scary to give up. And so being in a supportive circle of women who are doing it with you, it's like, okay, I can do this. And I will tell you, we're going to have pep talks, and you're going to have very simple little practices that fit into your woman on the move day. This isn't about sitting in, a lotus flower on our lotus flower all day. This is about simple, real, raw things that are going to fit into your everyday life, that are really going to help you transform your perspective and become more of who you desire to be.
I want to thank you for coming out. And what I mean by that is I want to thank you for you showing up here today. And I've been able to sit in the background and watch. Many people don't know what you've done in order to create the Jessica Suzanne that we're looking at now, the programs you've created. I mean, you literally changed really your purpose and passion, and really moved to a place that fuels your soul. And I want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's what happened. I will. Yeah. Thank you so much, because it has been quite a journey, as you know. And so we've landed here, and I'll tell you, when you've landed in the right spot, because I just know in my heart, I feel so good. I have that fire in me, and I can't wait to light the fire of other women as well.
Thank you for that. And we're not done with you. We're going to continue to tell people about what you created. This is where I love this. See, Jess is not telling us women to back off. This is why I love this. Where driven women come alive in 2025. Key phrase, driven, right? You have to want something in life. Thank you. Thank you so much for everything, Jess.
Thank you, Dr. Pat. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Jessica Suzanne, everybody. Kissed, KISSD by Bliss.com is the website. When you get there, I want y'all to go there, because I want you to see the transformation of what I kept referring to today in the evolution of Jessica Suzanne, her passion, her purpose, absolute alignment with value systems to create a better world and help women create the lives they truly desire. Thank you, Jessica, for that. Thank you, Emily. Stefan, we'll see you next time.